Okay. Time for round two. I think that I have everything actually set up correctly this time, so you can be annoyed by my voice and these sounds of the brushes and everything like that, all in beautiful stereo, just like everyone wanted in the first place. So today we're going to be working on the custodies that we were still working on last time, but we're going to be a little bit more focused here on what we can make look like black metal. Now, specifically, I chose these legs because it has this nice round area and smooth surfaces. Because I thought this would be a good example to kind of play with lighting effects, where the normal Custodes legs have all the design, the ridges, which is fun to do and looks really cool when it's painted to gold and has all the filigree and stuff, but it doesn't actually look like, at least metal in my mind, unless you do some weird effects with the edges. But this one I wanted to play with, specifically this lighting right here. And you can already kind of see with this particular light setup that I have, you can already see where the light should go. If you see right here at sort of the apex of the sphere, you can see that that's where light should naturally come, at least from this angle. And for our purposes, we can pretend that that's always going to happen and really just paint that in there. So here's another example. If I have that sphere and I want to pretend that the light is coming from, say, here, like this, that means the light is going to be at that spot. So I would put my dark area like that. Something around, you can even make it more of a circle. And then his leg was sort of like this. And it had the piece in the middle, that little ridge, then the rest of his calf. So dark, some less dark, and then the light would be coming down this way. So we put some dark around the edge of like where the foot would be, and then really make this super dark. Make this a little darker. So now it has sort of a weird 3D effect. It's not quite perfect, but when we paint it on the actual physical object, it's going to look a whole lot better. So let's give that a try. By the way, this is the paper that I used for my profile picture that I drew in crayon. So getting started, let's zoom back in the working area and let's focus up. Manual focus because we can't afford good cameras. Okay. And this is about as close as we can get unless I hold it up here, which I can probably do, but I can't see from where I am. So I'm going to be painting around here and then bring it up to show you. At least I have to do that for now. So we don't need anything special. Just like before, we're using normal, non-fancy synthetic brushes. This is a 0. And we could do it two ways. I'm gonna pick the simpler way, just like we did last time with the dry brush, using whites, or rather blacks, going up to white. So the matte black is what's currently all over the model, and we can fix mistakes using it. Here's the mid-tone, here's the peak. We could, if we wanted, insert a slightly darker one if you wanted to be really, really fancy and give it a super nice transition. But we don't need to be that fancy for our purposes, and the effect will come out just as well with this. So, get these ready on our palette. Still no palette camera, but I will get one. But hopefully this time we don't mess up. I'm glad that everybody liked the cape. And they thought the design was really cool. And again, that's 2 colors. It's cheating. You can literally just slap on a base color, so it's super dark red or even black like I did. Stipple on white with an old dry brush, and then go over it with a speed paint. And you'll get that effect. And it's gonna, again, look really good when we highlight all the edges there. And then we're gonna highlight all the peaks of the ridges here with something like, well, we would probably start with an orange, maybe a little darker than this. And then we'd really, really do the tips with a moonbeam yellow or something, a yellow like this, a warm yellow. That's what gave this guy, who we're not done with, this effect on his cape. So you see the edges? They look sort of like they're reflecting light. That's the 2 colors that we used. By the way, this one's going to get finished separately. Probably not on camera because there's not enough left to do to be interesting. But it's still going to be fun. So I'll put a video up of the final version of this. I am terrified of doing this filigree on the cape here. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take pictures before I do so that you can see what it looked like before I messed up and got gold all over the wrong places, and it's non-fixable. But we're going to give it a try. Okay, back to our other custodies. So let's load up our dry brush and get the ultimate weapon, damp sponge. Again, sponge from Ralph's, cut into a little square only for aesthetic purposes. It had that little curve before. It's not necessary. Best on the thumb. About right. So let's try. Try not to mess up. And the reason why I like the stipple method, even for this area and not just the cape, is that when you think of metal, a lot of people think smooth surface, but it's really not. It's got pocks and little dents and dings, and especially if you're pretending that's old, it's going to have even more of all that stuff. So already we have the super bright peak of the sphere right there. Now this brush I think is too big for the other parts of it. So I'm going to go to my sharp pointed 0, this guy, to try and do the lines coming down. And again, I mean it when I say that you don't need a fancy brush for this. All you need is like a razor tip. And you'll see it when you look at the brush. So it's pretty pointy. You can definitely get pointier, but again, we're not trying to be overly dramatic. We can make this look not perfect. And the key is just little dots, as fine as you can get them. So I'm gonna try, and we'll see how it goes. So we want it in like the corner here. Make sure you get a little separation between the dots if you can. As easy as I'm describing it to be. So going up this leg, trying to be convincing as possible. So we have a little bit of stippling there. And then we're going to be even more dramatic. We're going to go to the gray, that mid-tone, because you can tell that this is the ridge that's the most highlighted. And then this side is going to be a lighter, more dark area because it's not getting that peak reflection because the sun's coming from here. Or the lamp or whatever you want to describe. And also, you would tint this to be whatever color the light source is in your scene or whatever it is you're trying to do. In our case, we're just pretending it's a white, cold light. But if you did this, it would do blues, you could do reds, you can do purples, whatever type of light you want. So here's where I'm gonna get a little dangerous because I'm gonna go. See, that was already too big of a too big of a glob. But we can fix it because remember, underneath this is just matte black. And that's actually kind of the secret too. When you see people have all those little imperfections or what seem like perfect lines in their finished paint jobs, it's because they went back over and made them by putting in the base color underneath. So, okay, it's really rough, but you can already kind of see the value coming through. See if I can get a little closer. So that leg is going to start taking shape. I'm not going to put anything on this side because remember the reflection illusion is coming from here. So we actually, you know what? I'm going to go against what I said at the beginning. I'm going to use a deeper gray. Actually, we'll go even deeper than that. I have this one. So this is a super dark, literally called deep gray. Right one above the value of black. By the way, Army Painter makes, I love this color transition guide that they have. This is made doing things like this incredibly easy. Army Painter really kind of knocked out of the park with this one. Oh man. Baseball joke or baseball advertisement, sponsor me MLB. There we go. Loading that onto the table. Really. Oh, and this is black construction paper, by the way, if anyone was wondering. I might even change that to white, but it's going to get so nasty and messy with little paint flecks everywhere, and I don't know that anyone's going to like that. But it would show the model a little better. Possibly. Okay. So here's that deeper gray. Give this a try. And for this, I just want it kind of on the edges of what we did already. And I'm still allowing some space in between the stipples. Just to let a little of that light come back through. So already, with that mid-tone, that looks even better. And you're going to see at the end why that's good. And we can actually do it a little bit here on the top. So actually, I should just show you. I should have started with the deep mid-tone first. So I'm going to try that here. So let's put this on the dry brush. Damp sponge. Kroger or whatever your local grocery is. Okay. Put this really exactly the same space, because what I'm going to do next is reapply the white. But man, that already looks great. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to the white. Mix in the brush. And because I'm loaded up a little bit heavier, I want to just do the dead peak. Boom. I think we got it. At least for that little sphere. See if I can focus enough to show you. And we can try with the mid-tone or the boot here. So let's give that a shot. Just to make it a little bit blendier, the same way that we did it with the... Just a few taps. And it kind of blended the whole thing. Now we need a little bit more black on the edges to sell it. Because right now it's a little over dramatic on the calf, or on the shin guard, whatever you want to call it. Now let's do the mid-tone here. On the edges. Now see how that makes it distorted? That's what we want. And I'm going to show you the cheating method at the very end here. I'm building it up. Top 10 things that you don't know about Warhead. The sixth will shock you. That we don't know what we're talking about at all. So I'm going to put a little black on my dry brush again. So we're at black. I bet nobody thought that we were going to be using this dry brush as much. But I want to get the edges of this light so that it looks like it's blending. In the same manner. Some people use a sponge. That would also work, but I don't have the tools for that. You need like a little grabber or some sort of PC component tool that has little hooks. You may have seen it before, but I don't have them. And I will get them probably eventually. I don't feel like I need it right now. Doing a little bit on the edges of the ball here. Just to, again, kind of smooth out the edges of that mid-tone. See if we can't make that kind of pocked metal look a little more convincing. How's that? Does it look like the light's reflecting? I think it does. And if you don't, tell me in the comments. Engage with me. It's all been a ploy to get you to say something so that I'm not talking to myself like a crazy person. Good thing my neighbors can't hear me. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. Anyway. The next one we're going to do is we can do the foot. So it's going to be the same direction, light coming down this way. So let's start with the... Hello! Pressure Joe. Thanks for joining. We're painting badly. We're painting this leg using a stipple method with a dry brush. This is the only thing that we've used so far. Well, kind of. I used a different brush at first, but then I changed my mind. But to move on, we're gonna do the boot now. We're gonna come down the leg in the same direction, only on the left side. So this left side, we're gonna start with that mid-tone. That's the deep gray. So let's see if it's still damp enough. But we're gonna be pretty aggressive with it. Right here. And it's gonna make it look dusty at first. But that's until we put the black back on the edges. So, yeah, it's sort of following the light there. Now we're gonna do the lighter gray, not quite white yet. So we're gonna do this right here. Damp sponge. Same area. Go a little lighter on the tapping, because that's what's going to give you that more focused surface area, because I did it hard before to make it cover higher volume areas. So we're going to go a little lighter. And by the time we reach the white, it'll be super, super light. So now we're going to go for the white. So see how it's still following the trail? Okay. Now to the white. Load up the dry brush. Wipe off the excess on the sponge. Now super light. Be careful as much as you can. You start seeing it. There we go. Okay. So now it looks like the whole boot is just covered in like dust or something like that. It does kind of give the illusion, but we need to make it sharper. So bring back the black, the base color. Black. And we're going to do the side of it to bring that dark hue, because remember, the light was only following that area. But if we stipple it like this, again, it implies that it's still got that same texture. Okay. And we do it a lot on this side, because remember, this side we don't want really any of that reflection, because it's not supposed to reach here. So see? And we're going to go a little darker, because we're going to make that a really, really stark transition there. Put a little more black. Dry brush. Let's do a little more. I don't want any of that light crossing the threshold. Again, the stippling is to give the illusion of old metal, because old metal has pocks and holes and zits all over it. Do a tiny bit more here. Make it darker and sell that illusion. So how's that? I think it's starting to look pretty good. At least for my unprofessional self. This thigh here is going to be tough because I'm right next to the cape and I'm using a big dry brush. I don't have anything smaller. But neither will you. As a beginner like me, fellow beginners, fellow first-time painters. This is my first mini ever. So we're going to do the same thing. Dark mid-tone. And then we're going to build it up. So dark mid-tone. Now, being extra careful not to mess up that beautiful cape that we did last time. And with this, take advantage of the fact that you didn't do this side leg cover first and pretend that it's not there and just tap near it, because you'd much rather hit that thing and then just cover it back up with black than hit the cape that you can't fix. See? There we go. Getting a little of that light. Just a little. We may not even hit the white on that one. But we are going to go to the next level of dark gray. It's pretty light. I would call it I wouldn't call it a dark gray. I would call it a light gray. Okay. Just a little. Boom. Okay. And now to fix it and to really show you what I mean when I sell it, I'm just going to use that same dry brush and fix the pauldron here, just so that you can tell that stark transition and how easy it is to fix stuff. I'll even do it on this side, which was from the last stream. Being as careful as I can not to hit the cape. And that may take a few coats because I'm going over white. But you can already see on this side. See how I fixed it? And look at that light. Boom. I'm actually gonna do this a little harder right here. A little more black. There we go. So as you can see, the stippling, at least I think, makes it look more natural. Makes it look like this could actually be a piece of metal. I want to fix this little seam right here. This one I'm going to go back to the white. And this is where we get to be fancy. And you get to sell the reflective effect. We're going to do super highlights. So take your way overly loaded brush. So your pointy brush. And this is where we get to do the edge highlighting just on the area where we think the light is reflecting the most. And that's right here. Right at the end of the line from the beginning. And we can even do a dot highlight. Right there. And then another few coming down, hitting the ridges of the boot here. Just to make it seem like it's hitting those tips of the boot. And look at that. I think we're doing double plus good work here. Does that look like reflective metal to you? No, shut up. It 100% does. And you're a hater. I'm gonna do a little more stippling here, coming up the edge. But did you see how easy that was? Big, what would you say? Big blend Corp, who is trying to tell you, like, no, you gotta wet blend. You gotta get grandpa's nose hair size Sable hairbrush from Scandinavia only, and that's the only way that you'll achieve any kind of painting notoriety. They're right. And big Scandinavia Blend Corp should sponsor me. No, but you saw that I did that with just a Citadel cheap dry brush, not even a layer, not a super fine, not a army painter psycho size brush. I couldn't have made that more simply. Okay, so how's that, folks? I think that we're approaching some kind of end to this leg work, this leg day that we're doing here. A little more edge highlight there. Look at that. We're a regular Thomas Kincaid, purveyor of fine hotel artwork everywhere. Okay, so that was a super quick tutorial on how to do black metal. The key there, for at least this effect, you can do smooth blends, and it makes it look like really slick and really pretty to some people. But I'm gonna argue that the stipple effect is going to be just as effective, especially if you don't want to be a pretentious person. How about that? Dad, mom. Okay. So that's for that one leg. Now we have to think about the other areas. So I don't think that we ought to work on this underneath leg quite yet, because look at how dark that's supposed to be. It's really just gonna catch some very, very fine stuff. But we can do the back of this leg a little bit here. So see that calf? We can kind of hit it from there. So same thing. And you can tell exactly where it's supposed to be based on the light right here. So, right at the tip of the calf, top of the calf. And then we're just going to use those same techniques. But, would that be super dark? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to give it a try. And if we don't like it, remember, we have black as the base. We can take it away and pretend that it never happened and never tell anybody about what's under the pier. We can always do that. So, again, stipple. We're doing a lot of rose stipple. Advertisements here. I think this is a little too wet. Yeah, it's too wet. It's not actually getting any of the color. Let's try that again. Put this on the dry brush. Okay. Just a stipple. There we go. Same thing with the back of the heel. There we go. Let that dry a little bit because that was a little too wet. Like if you can tell here, it made less of a stipple effect and kind of a glob. But guess what? We're not perfect. That's what we learned together, is that we're not perfect and we have to accept it. It's gonna work out. We said that last stream, but nobody heard because my mic was off. I was too scared of invalidation. But now we're working. Okay. So while that dries, oh, it's actually dry right now. Do the next color. The lighter mid-tone. And lighter touches. And because we're doing that stipple, even though we overdid the last one, that's gonna look better. And I'm gonna put black in between there. I know you all saw me mess up. I'm embarrassed. It's gonna get clipped by nobody. But later on, when I'm bigger, when I'm all grown up, streaming wise, they'll be like, he never knew how to paint. He could never paint to begin with. It's all AI. And they're right. Maybe. I don't know. You don't know. Am I AI? Probably. Because nothing's real anymore. Go. So from the front to the side, let's add the black back in because we overdid it a little bit. And see if we like it. And if we don't remember, just cover it up. Remember, we love to cover it up. Don't clip me. Okay, in between. Because there's a recess there. And we're only doing the peaks of the calf back here. And we'll need to reload the brush. This is the consequence of using the dry brush, but I'm going to try and get the most out of it here. Okay. There we go. And then we'll go back, and once again, to sell the effect, we do those little peak highlights with the white. Those dot highlights. Some people call them peak highlights, some people call them dot highlights. You can call them whatever you want. This is your movie. Little peak there. Little peak on the edge corner here. And that's it. We'll leave it for now. Doesn't have to stay. But how about that? One leg done. Took almost an hour. And this is why I haven't actually played the game, and I've only painted these things because I obsess over each one, and I can't move on to the next thing. Okay, we can sell this a little bit more. you can put that mid-tone over the whole ridge here, which is what I'm going to do next, just to give it a little more of that flavor to the reflection. Technically, it's still moving across that surface. Just on the edge here. And if we don't like it, we'll cover it up. See if I can do it. There we go. I think that is okay. Don't you? You'll notice I do not have steady hands. I have a pretty tremorish hands. I'm resting my hands on the edge of the desk when I'm doing this. So that looks a little better, I think. We'll do the same thing up here. Up on the ridge underneath the sphere. Really sell that transition, but not on the other side. Remember, especially in metal, light really does have straight lines if it's a smoother reflective surface. It can't travel past this ridge. So the darker the shadow, the kind of more you sell that effect. On this big calf area, the cylinder shape that it has, it's a little harder to do that. But the leg really does have a ridge that you can follow. Okay. Looking back at the calf, that looks okay. I'll probably get rid of that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But the front leg, I think looks pretty good. Okay. To finish this off, I think that we're gonna do a little bit of highlighting like I said we would on the cape. Just to give it a little bit more, because when I post the picture of what today's stream was and I show one leg, everyone's gonna be mad. Paint shake cam, paint shake sound. So I'm gonna use that lava orange. Actually, no, sorry. I'm gonna use the fiery vermilion. So this is just a bright red that matches the tone of the rest of the cape. And I'm gonna use that to highlight the edges. When it dries darker than this. I know only you would know that if we have experience using the paint. So always try to use something that you actually know what it is. And because I've used this on almost every cape, giving away all my secrets, everybody seems to like it though. The capes anyway. I get lots of feedback on saying things like, who are you? How did you get in my feed? I didn't subscribe to you, and YouTube keeps recommending your shorts even though I don't paint Warhammer. Why are you using the wrong hashtags? You know, things like that when referring to my cape painting. So I know that the feedback is valid. So here's that red vermilion, and we're just gonna hit the edges here. And we'll use backwards grip, Western grip. Gonna use the side of the brush. Cheap, synthetic brush. Don't listen to big Sable hair brush Corp. They're only right 99% of the time. See if I can get a good angle here. A good curt angle here. Nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about. Nobody watches wrestling. Or at least era where Kurt Angle would have even been relevant. Okay. There we go. Just a little edge highlighting there. It doesn't need to actually go all the way to the top, but you want to be extra fancy, you can make it go all the way to the top. Don't worry about hitting stuff, although I did hit that leg that I just did. This is what I'm talking about. I'll fix it with black. Okay. So just a small edge highlight there. I know it's hard to see, but you will see it better when I do the orange and then the peak highlight. And now we're gonna do the bottom here. Same thing. I don't recommend putting water on your brush here. Use the paint and your wet palette. And it's gonna sound weird, but keep it as dry as you can. And what I mean by that is if you overload the brush with water, you're not going to be able to stay on the edge. It will bleed out into the areas where you don't want it to. So let's see if I can do it like this here. So, you can kind of see my brush is like fraying. It's because, like I said, I'm keeping it dry. I'm going paint only, not rinsing it in between using the same color, because I want it to be stiff enough and I don't want the pigment to travel. But you don't have to listen to me. Definitely don't need to listen to me. Okay. See that little highlight there? It's coming together a little bit. You can already kind of see it. Now we'll do a little orange, and this is going to really sell it. I promise. Everybody loves the orange part. Now you can rinse your brush. Lava orange is what I'm going to use. Nice clippable paint thing for my later TikTok reel of how you step 1, step 2. You don't know that this took an hour to do. And they never will, because they'll never watch this whole VOD. Somebody might, if they're truly desperate for any kind of noise in the background, because they can't sit with their own thoughts like me. Okay, here's that orange, and we're not going to do the whole thing. We're not going to go all the way to the top because that would defeat the transition. So we're just going to do maybe up to the midpoint. Be careful as much as you can. And you don't need to put as many coats up here because you actually want it to look a little more muted going up. You can really load up that bottom portion there so you can kind of sell that illusion. I'm gonna do just a tiny bit more going up, but really lightly again to give it kind of a thinner layer so that it looks like it's transitioning. So see that? That's what the people want. They want cloaks that look like they're on fire. This is what we're talking about. The end picture is gonna look so good. Or not. Everyone will hate it. Do the same thing over here. We're not gonna do the rest of the cape today, but I will show you where we're gonna do it. But I want to focus on the edges where you'll see it in the front. Okay. Okay. So see that? And now we get to do the bright yellow at the very tip. And that's going to finish that off. And everyone will be impressed. You'll finally get that promotion. You'll finally impress your friends and family. You'll be sitting around the Thanksgiving table, and your grandfather will stand up from his wheelchair and say, "Oh, the cape that you edge highlighted was all I needed to be able to die." And then the family will blame you. It'll be your fault for what happens next. That was really dark. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to anybody. Please forgive me if you had a family member pass away. Slurp stream. Everybody loves that sound. Me sucking my nose juice back into my head. Okay. Here we go. Just the edge. You do not want to go too far up. See that? Now do the bottom. And you are set, my boy. Oh, it was cringe. Sorry. Please forgive me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to be entertaining. I just want to live. Okay. Now the bottom portion. Slap that mustard yellow on there. That's it. Don't go over it. Don't go overboard. You do not want to go overboard. So look at that. You can't even see it from the front. But when you turn it a little bit like that, see that? Oh man. Look at that. Look at that. You go from the front. There's the highlighted leg. Look at the cape shine. And then you got a texture on top. Wow. How impressive are you? You must really know how to paint. How incredible. Here's a stable job and a family just for you. Because you know how to you know how to paint. It's tiny plastic soldiers. Can you imagine if the world was like that? It would be at peace. So we had to until they started taxing all of our plastic soldiers. So we can try to do this internal one right here. We've got about, I don't know, 10 more minutes, 15 minutes. Just so that it looks really good in the next picture. And it's the same exact formula. The bright red that matches the tone of the rest of the cape, but is solid lines on the edge. That's what kind of sells the edge. Don't hit that leg that you just took a whole hour on. And don't mess up the tone of the rest of the cape. Don't get a big fat brush to do this. Use a thin pointed brush. And please, for the love of God, keep it, like I said earlier, as dry as possible. Because if this was wet, it would be splattering all over that beautiful effect that you made last time. So it's a little hard to see. It's very hard to see, but maybe I got a little closer there. So you can see that edge starting to form right there. So let's put a little more red on here. No water. Just the moisture of the wet palette to make sure that it's not, you know, glue. Twist your brush coming off of the wet palette to make it as pointy as possible. Okay. Thank you, manual focus. So now let's do the same thing. You probably can't see me, but I'm gonna give it a try anyway. There we go. Coming all the way down the edge, trying to make it pretty bright so that you can see it. So now there's a little bit of an edge there. You'll see a little bit, you'll see it better when I put the orange. But you do need that base of the red. It won't work without it. So transitioning to the orange now. Please be careful. Please be careful. You'll be so sad if you put this bright orange all over that beautiful dark transition. That's what you don't want. Here we go. Take your time. Nobody is gonna criticize you for how slowly you do this, but they will criticize. Ah, I already messed up. Dang. But you know. I'll tell you you can fix that next time. Let's see if I can right now. Take a little wet brush. Kind of mop it up. But you gotta be fast. You gotta be really fast. If you would have let that dry, everyone would think that you're a loser. You were faking it the whole time. So that was just water. So you saw what happened. I got a little bit onto that dark transition that I specifically said I didn't want to do, but I fixed it by putting a little water on the brush quickly and kind of mopping it up. So there was too much water for the pigment to settle and for the adhesive inside the paint to dry. So it soaked into the brush bristles and I was able to pull it away. I got lucky. And now I'm not going to be lucky because I'm going for an even brighter yellow, that moonbeam yellow for the edge here. So I can, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to take him off of the base here, which may have been a good idea earlier so that I can do it from this angle. This Kurt angle. See that? Boom. I put them back. You don't want to handle it too much with your fingers. For two reasons. One, you could be smearing other things. The oils from your hands can get on here and mess with stuff later. But mostly, you don't know, you haven't been paying attention this whole time. There could be paint on your hand. And then I've done it 100 times. I didn't realize there was paint on some part of my hand that was still active because my hand is oily. And then I go and put my big thumb right on something that I can't fix. And it's covered. Completely ruined. I throw away the mini in rage. And that's the end of the day. But here we are. I think we did a great job on this leg and those small highlights. What do you think? Leave a comment, like and subscribe, and all that. You know what? Here's the final little bit of detail that we can do. We're gonna fix this part here so that the picture at the end looks even better. So I just loaded up a little bit of black on the dry brush from earlier. We don't need to be fancy. And just slopping it on that area that we want to turn back to black. Because it is the same tone. Do it right here. Now, when we take the picture, it'll look really fancy because it'll make it look like, oh, you did that without messing up at all. When the truth is we messed up a lot. Remember, the only thing that people will care about is what it looks like at the end. The whole process of the project doesn't have to be revealed. You can just say, yeah, definitely. I didn't mess up the whole time, and I have $1 million in my portfolio from guile and good business sense. And they'll say, I just wanted to know the code to the bathroom. You're a Starbucks employee. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I sincerely appreciate you. This is the final result of today's stream. So we did the leg, did the little cape, did the edge highlighting here, and the calf. I think the calf looks pretty good. I think we're gonna keep it that way. But oh boy, what's everybody gonna say when I post this pic of the bottom half? Please tell me. Thanks, everybody. Bye.